Okay, so going for growth post-COVID. And this kind of came out of, obviously, I'm a VPM of a club in Dublin, and I've been on various different kind of training programs, and also been on a couple of the COTs myself and delivering it. And post-COVID is coming up a lot in terms of, you know, the state of our clubs as a result of the impact of the pandemic, and, you know, being online and now transitioning from that online world to the actual face-to-face. And kind of looking around the room going, oh my God, what's happened to our membership? What do we need to do here? And how do we actually kind of put a plan in place that's going to bring us back to the glory days that we had before COVID? So introducing myself, as Mary kindly introduced me, I worked across Europe, Asia Pacific, Australia, Papua New Guinea and China. And I across numbers of different roles within commercial marketing and also sales. And so I'm very comfortable carrying revenue targets, regardless of whether I'm just carrying the marketing mantle or the sales mantle. I have particular interest in skilled and non-skilled volunteering. You can see I'm scrubbing an elephant there in the water. I also like to work, I was talking to one of the ladies there, I like to work on boards as well for NGOs, which is using my kind of skills as well. So that kind of gives a smattering of who I am. So post-COVID, all of our clubs have taken a hit. There's not one club that hasn't, and we've seen that in a lot of the results that were presented recently. So no one is alone here. And really that needs to, you know, be said and recognized. I think no one is alone. Each club has their own challenges to face. And a couple of times I heard the word, oh my goodness, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. Which, you know, is not a great feeling for anybody, either as a club president or as a club member, or sitting on a committee kind of going, good God, I don't know how to actually approach this. So as I say, this is a very kind of practical approach. So if we just take stock here, let's regroup, rethink, reinvent and redesign. The 4 areas that I put together is on recruitment, retention, the channels, and also the exec committee. These are the 4 areas that I'm pretty passionate about, that if you make changes in these 4 areas, you will actually set yourself in good stead to go for growth for this year. On recruitment, and by the way, I speak very fast. It's not even just an Irish thing. It's an Nora Duggan thing. So if I'm going too fast, do please tell me to slow down, because that's my constant piece of feedback when I give speeches, actually. So on recruitment, okay, so your club guest plan. Your guests are really brave. They walk through that door, and they didn't just walk through that door just for the heck of it. They walked through that door because they had a reason to be there. And more recently in our club, we asked a couple of guests, why are you there? One was there because of a eulogy that they were asked to do for their brother's passing, and they were too scared. I mean, that's a huge personal circumstance to actually motivate a person to actually get up, research, find a club and walk through the door to be there on that night. So they're brave. So it's really important that they're acknowledged and they're welcomed. And that could be by the Toastmaster or the club president, whoever, but it's really important that they're recognized and welcomed, and that they feel that immediate warmth in the room, that it's great that they're there that night. And let that become your club culture. And actually, I also believe that, you know, it's not just the committee's job to look after members. Let it be every member in the room to look after guests when they walk through, and to welcome them and buddy them and sit beside them and ask them how they're going, or explain different things at breaks. So then the actual action plan itself on the night, I don't know if any of you or all of you have prepared a guest letter or a welcome letter for guests. I'll show you what we prepared for Uncensored now in a moment, but that's really important. It's really good to have a takeaway for that guest that night, because when they walk out of the room, they have something in their hand to remind them of the club that they attended, what the meeting was about, but also the contact details, so how they can get in touch with you. It's also important to capture their details. Many's a meeting I've been at where I've seen everyone do the right things, welcome the guests, talk to them, ask them why they're there, and then nothing. They never captured their email address, or they never asked them for their email address. And then there was no follow-up. So with the best will in the world, and I did it myself when I joined, when I went to Vox Populi, the first night I went there, and then I was so overwhelmed by the immense talent of the speakers. I thought, I'm never going to be as good as any of these people in this room. I'm not going back. And that was my decision. And I walked out of there. Only the president got my details, and he sent me a gorgeous email the next day. And I went, oh, you know, I'm not sure. I don't know. And he was like, come back and give it another go. I bet you'll love it. And I did. And look at me now. So it's amazing, because you don't know what's going through people's heads. So that follow-up is actually really important. And to make it very, and I call it the following day, the personalized nurturing plan. Apologies for the marketing speak there, but it is a nurturing plan. So you send out a follow-up and you say, thank you for coming. You link it to their motivations. Why were they there in the first place? I really hope you felt that actually this will support you in, you know, your fear of public speaking or your impromptu or whatever it is. Ask a question in that email. Because if you ask a question in that email, it's likely that will actually indicate to the person, or motivate the person to respond to you, because they will think it's probably rude not to answer the question. And again, these are just tips and techniques kind of from sales marketing, but they work. At the next, if you don't hear anything, you could still send a follow-up meeting or email to say, hey, our next meeting is on Thursday in the Brooks Hotel at 7 p.m. We'd love to see you. And we've got an amazing lineup. And, you know, you could talk about some of the speakers that are coming, and then softly bring it back to their motivations. You know, really think that this would be amazing for you. And we'll link it back to, you know, your key motivation for wanting to be a member of Toast or join Toastmasters. Testimonials from new members. Again, you know, you could use, and we've just started doing this in our own club, getting testimonials from new members and old members, and, you know, etc. So you could say, like, we have a very young new member who won Member of the Year, and, you know, we'll hopefully get a new testimonial for him. So that would be really interesting to add in to the body of your email. Then the continuous part, the admin. Nobody likes it, has to be done. So it's also important to understand how many new members do you need, or how many guests do you need to convert into members? Because, like, what is it that you need from a revenue or a fee perspective to break even and plus? So again, that's important to talk to your treasurer to figure out, okay, so if we're at 20 now, what do we need? Or if we're now back face to face and the club is going to pay for the evaluation slips, the agendas, the welcome guest letters, and the guest details to fill out, you know, all of those have a cost. Now, some committee members bear those costs themselves, but some clubs will actually offer to pay them. Where's that money going to come from? So a great place, obviously, is from membership fees. So again, converting guests to members is a critical lifeline for a club. So to remember that. Upload your visitor names to EasySpeak. Now, I didn't realize, actually, not everyone uses EasySpeak, but if you don't use EasySpeak, it's an online kind of portal where you can run your whole kind of meetings from, and you can have your agendas and upload all your members, etc. And you can do, I hate the word mass mailing, by the way, because in marketing, nothing is mass. It's all one-to-one marketing. But you can do a mailing out to all members or past members or visitors, etc. But if you haven't got EasySpeak, there's no other easy way but use an Excel document. So you can track what members visited and when. And also, now I know this is kind of nerdy stuff, but I love tracking visitors and their engagement. So how many times would a visitor come or a guest come? Sorry, I use the language intertwined. But how many times would a guest come to your meeting and come again, and then when would they convert? Kind of interesting to know. Like, is it 2 meetings? Is it on 1 meeting, or is it on 3 meetings? And then you can start to see kind of a cycle and a pattern. But it's really important to capture those guests when they walk through the door the first time. So a sample of a letter, and I'm happy again to share this with everyone. This is, again, no magic bullet. This has been committee approved for uncensored. I never, as with, you know, most committees, you never do anything as a lone soldier. Everything should be approved. We've agreed that this is a perfect style, 1 page. So it's a nice warm letter. It welcomes them. It explains who we are. Toastmasters, Uncensored is a slightly rebellious and maverick club, and that's who we are. So we're stating what we are. However, you're going to have great fun. You'll become a great speaker and a leader. So it gives a nice kind of, like, you know, you're telling who we are, but we're also saying this is what you're going to get. This is what to expect from an evening, and these are the skills that you're going to develop. You're really welcome to come back, and please contact me. Here are the fees, by the way. I think it's really important to call out what the fees are, because, you know, for a start, I passionately believe that we are such good value for money versus other clubs out there in terms of what people get from a year's membership with our clubs. But also, if you note on the second last line, I will be following up with you in the coming days just to check in and answer any questions you have. So I'm now saying to them, you will be hearing from me. And, you know, again, with GDPR and all of that, that's really, it actually is important to state that, but now they know that I will be sending an email. So they won't be like shocked when they go home or the next day and they get an email from me. They'll be going, ah, she did what she said she was going to do. And we look forward to seeing you, etc., in Brooks Hotel. This is a sample. Sorry, any questions on that so far? No? I can't see any.
Question, Laura.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Hi. GDPR, are we not meant to get their consent before we actually follow
Yes.
up?
So I'm just about to do that.
Perfect.
So here, so this is my guest log, Justin. So this is, so I think I can fit 4 of these on 1 page, and then they would be cut along. But it says, so the capturing their name, their last name, their email address, their mobile. Are you okay for us to contact you afterwards and in accordance with GDPR guidelines? Yes or no? Hopefully they say yes. Why are you interested in Toastmasters? Again, because this is the valuable piece of personal information that I can use back in my nurturing plan back to them. And please tell us how you heard about our club. Because, like, I really want to know, was it Google search, or like, did someone tell you, or, you know, how did you find out about it? So then once that's captured, then that is back. So that and again, this is new, so we haven't used this yet, but this will be used in our first meeting back in early September, and that will be around the room. So any of the members can fill it in on behalf of the guest and then hand it to me at the end of the evening. And then it's back to me to do my job as VPM the next day following up.
Nora, sorry to, can I interrupt? Have you met any price resistance at 180 euros per year?
That's a really good question, Paul. So we put up our fees and I checked in with the treasurer. We announced the new fees to our members there. Barry Lane is on the call. Is it a month ago, Barry? And according to our treasurer, there's been no pushback so far.
Paul, maybe just as a follow-up to that, yeah, after the announcements that went out, I did follow up with all of the members in my capacity as VP Ed to cross-check were they happy to keep proceeding on the Pathways journey, and all of them had received the fees increase notification by this stage, and they all, without exception, came back to me and said they were still committed to following their paths.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, so I keep relating it to, behind my house here is a cricket pitch and a club, a sports club. They charge 250 euros to become a member. Then if you want to do tennis, you pay. Then if you want to do cricket, you pay. Then if you want to, so we genuinely shouldn't be afraid like of our fees. We're seriously good value for money for what people get. So anyway, that's
all right. Can I ask, how much of an increase was it for you?
So we went from 160.
I believe it was 140, Nora.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And we're charging, so last year we didn't charge at the door. So we're charging this year at the door, which I believe should always be done. Guests should always pay. I mean, when I was member of Vox Populi, we charged for guests and members, and members at the door. But we will be charging €6, Anita, and we've invested in a. Thank God you're on the call, Barry. What have we invested in? What do you call that thing?
A card reader, Nora.
Thank you. We've invested in a card reader. God almighty. You can tell I'm not the treasurer, right? Yeah, so we invested and we did a research, Anita, on a couple of different types of card readers, and we actually went for a higher end model just based on its ease of use and the simplicity of use, and also the guarantee of use, because some of the cheaper models are not, you know, if they don't have the right Wi-Fi, they don't necessarily work. So
Yeah.
so that's,
Thank you.
yeah, okay. So moving on to retention. Oh, Lloyd.
Hey, Nora, thank you. So just a quick question. Did you put up the price because your prices or your costs had increased, or was it a decision based on longevity, or what exactly?
So a couple of things. One, we the room that we've hired, so we had to change locations last year, and the hotel that we're in now is quite an expensive room. So to achieve break even is, you know, we need quite a number of bums on the seats every night. So we had a couple of choices. One is obviously increase membership and increase guests, but the other is actually to look at our fees. And, you know, being a loss-making club is not a viable option for anyone. So
Of course not, yeah.
we made
And
that
so
decision.
your group is more than 20 members, is it?
Yeah, there currently there's 26.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So retention, focusing on our members. You know, everyone, it's a human need to want to belong. So you would hope that when you join a club like Toastmasters, that they will represent and reflect the same values of your own. And ours are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. We join not just to have the crack. Mind you, in Uncensored, we have a lot of crack by its very nature of its name, but you also are there because there's personal growth plans, most likely. And, you know, you want to achieve certain goals. So it's really important that the club is delivering on all of those different goals for you and for each and every member. But never assume, like as in a relationship, that everything is going hunky-dory unless you actually check with your members. Somebody close to me just announced that his girlfriend, after 4 years, has just walked out the door, and he had no notion that she was unhappy, because I don't think he checked. So it is really important that, you know, we care and we look after our members. We also check in with them to make sure that they are getting everything that they want and need from the club. So a couple of action plans on that. New members. Again, one of the things I'm quite passionate about is induction training. I was regaling to Barry recently. We have a new member who, you know, I made a comment about, we had a speech that was supposed to be between 5 to 7 minutes. It went on to 12 minutes, and I was a little bit alarmed, and he didn't see what the issue was. And he's a new member because he actually, he didn't realize that, you know, staying within time is really important with your speeches, because he hasn't been inducted correctly into kind of what it means to be a Toastmaster. And, you know, we do have our rules and regulations around what it means to be a Toastmaster and how to run a club meeting, and also giving speeches and on our topics master and every other role. So it's really important that time is spent with new members to explain to them, take them through to Toastmasters International, that wonderful website I love spending time on, and pathways, and also then what it means to be a Toastmaster. So, and again, Barry and our VP Ed is kindly training me on the Wildly ways, and I'm putting together an induction training, which I will then, so he's trained me, I will then take it on board and I will induct every new member. It'll just, so I did it again previously in Vox Populi. I'll meet the new member 1 hour before the Toastmasters meeting, and the induction is then done. So they'll also have a membership pack, which they can take away, and links and videos and everything that they need for further information. So again, everything that they need to set them on the right journey within Toastmasters. Also, it'd be really nice to welcome the new members, and you can do this now, you know, of an evening, the president or the Toastmaster to welcome on board the new member. But also you could do, like, be creative. Why not get a live video and put it up on social media, or a testimonial, etc., etc., or even a podcast. We're exploring lots of different kind of channels at the moment. Then the membership engagement plan. So it's really important and interesting, because we've been looking at our members, and you know, the number I gave you was correct as of now. Is it going to be correct as of the beginning of September, Lloyd? I'm not sure, because looking at the membership engagement plan or engagement tracking for the last 6 months of last year, there's quite a few people who haven't been showing. So are they going to come back? Now I've been reaching out to them, etc. But by again, simple tracking, you can tell if somebody's engaging with Toastmasters. Now there could be personal reasons, etc., for not coming to meetings, but there might be just actually they've disengaged. The membership interest survey, I will show a plan if I have time. We'll see how we're going. How am I doing actually? Okay. Membership interest survey, I know that's mentioned a load of times at loads of other training. I think it's a brilliant thing to do. I really do. And because it's a great way of really testing the temperature of the club and seeing, are there other things that we could be doing that actually members are looking for? We had, you know, that Vox Populi club I was telling you that we had over 60. I mean, that was heaving with, you know, oh my God, it was just, it was such a vibrant club at the time. And a big feedback came back to say, you know what, we'd love a social committee. So actually a whole bunch of members formed a subcommittee called the social committee. And then we ended up doing lots of other trips outside of Toastmasters, which everyone loved. Also, most importantly, people wanted mentorship, a proper mentorship program implemented. So we seriously implemented a really good mentor program for the second half of the Toastmasters year. And I think if anyone was on my COT training, you'll know that a marriage resulted out of the mentoring. So I think that was pretty successful. And then member testimonials and success stories. If any of you, and I'd encourage you to follow Uncensored, and also you're all very welcome as guests. We are starting now to roll out a lot of interesting podcasts. So, we lots more to come actually with that in terms of success stories, or old members, new members, past members. Yeah, so again, you know, create content in an interesting way that's going to kind of allow people to kind of read and go, oh, that's a really interesting club, actually. I think I'd like to be a member there. And here's what their members are saying. So it's actually not just the committee talking or the president talking, it's a member talking and saying what they're getting from it. And the mentoring program I mentioned. So this is something definitely I didn't cover on the VPM, which is channels, identity and identify. So who are you as a club? Do you know? Have you a statement that defines what your club stands for? Not just Toastmasters, because each of you, like, so we obviously have our parent, Toastmasters International, but we're, you know, we all are unique clubs within the Toastmasters family. But within your club, you probably have a culture, you have a style, you have an identity that's different to every other. So what is that? Have you defined it? Have you got one sentence that can explain that clearly? So for Uncensored, We looked hard at who we are, and well, to be honest, it wasn't difficult because it's very clear about who we are, to be honest. It is a Toastmasters club that is renowned as having a slightly rebellious and maverick spirit. Here you can have a lot of fun, learning to be a great speaker and leader. So we're hosted on a Friday evening. We are a little bit outside the realm of most other Toastmasters. You can talk about a lot of topics that you don't talk about in other clubs, but always respectful. And it is slightly rebellious, but equally we are completely cognizant that we want to develop great speakers and leaders within our club. So our quality and our standards are exactly the same as each and every other club. But with that, so that sentence, or those two sentences you see there, you will see mirrored right across our Facebook, across our LinkedIn. And we won't talk about our website just yet because we're doing some work on that, but it will be on our website. But it's also on the welcome letter. So there's consistency of message around who we are. So no one is in any kind of shadow of a doubt around, oh, what does that club actually stand for? Or who are they? Or what am I going to get from them? So it's not just the Toastmasters parent. It's you as the child within the family. Who are you? What's your unique identity? Any questions on that? No? Okay, good. So sorry, this is the channel's action plan. So again, sorry, I'm just going to move all your faces over. Identify your active channels. And again, you know, there's a million different channels out there. So you just need to decide, and there's only one VPR. So again, it's to identify what channels do you want to be active on and commit to it. So, you know, it's no point in just having a great burst in September and then nothing again until December. You know, you need to be consistent, like you are with your own Facebook pages or LinkedIn or whatever. You know, you need to be consistently updating, refreshing, and sending out new content. So we've made decisions on Facebook, LinkedIn, and website for the moment because we've had a big cleanup job to do. So we feel that if we can get those three down pat, at least we're off to a great start. So again, it's not overwhelming for our VPR, and he's been really supported as well then by everybody else in terms of content. And we've got some loads of really interesting ideas coming up. So again, what's your key messaging? So not just around who you are, your descriptor of you as a club, it's then, you know, what else do you want to say around it? Obviously, you've got to mention when, where, what time. Really important things. I know they're basics, but honest to God, I've been on a million, when we were doing all this research, I was just, you know, looking at lots of different clubs, and some of the basics are just, they're not there. So again, you know, at the beginning, I said, let's get back to basics. So, you know, even at a basic level, if you have when, where, what time, and then your description around who you are, that's a good indicator. Have clear call to actions, you know, so if somebody's to get in touch, how do they get in touch? Who are they getting in touch with? So our VPR has his email address everywhere. So it's really clear if anybody has any questions at all, they know they can get in touch with him, and he will respond to them. And have some fun. Like we, you know, James, our VPR, has designed some new t-shirts, and he's put up pictures of him with these new t-shirts, you know, uncensored speakers. So, you know, like there's lots of different things, like there's no rules or rigor to it's social media. So you can have some fun, and the podcasts are going out, and we will have videos coming down the line. So, and again, I don't think you have to overthink these things. You know, if you're having a great meeting, you know, just do a round robin of the room and say, wow, that was a great room. That was a great meeting on Thursday night, and then upload it. And, you know, you're showing vibrancy, you're showing energy, you're showing passion. So now this is a huge area. Are you ranking on Google? So have you actually put into Google and searched for your club? Do you know where you rank? And by doing all of the earlier things, you will actually help rank your club. We found that we were late on page 2. Whoever goes to page 2? Not really. So that's that's a whole discipline in itself, but at least if you are updating your content regularly, you've got the right kind of language around Toastmasters and identifying the right skills that people are going to develop. Google will organically understand that you're part of the universe of Toastmasters, and your rankings will better. Because really, as you go back to face, that's important. So any questions on that previous one? Sorry. The channels.
I'm saving my questions for the end, if that's okay, because we've got
Sure.
Q&A. I'm saving my questions.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, exec committee, working as one. Again, another area that I'm really passionate about. There is no one person that can save a club, or no one person that can grow a club. It has to be the committee working together. And each person has been appointed on that committee to do a particular role, but only working together as a team can you deliver it. So working as a team, are you? If you reflect on your current committee, do you feel that you're actually all working together? Are there scheduled meetings? Do you know when your next meeting is? Is it in the diary? Do you know when the next one after that is going to be? Do you have your actions from your last meeting? Do you know what you're supposed to be doing at the next meeting? I know these are basics, and I'm so sorry. I don't mean to sound like a school teacher. Not that there's anything wrong with school teachers, they're great, but I don't mean to be treating you like children. But these again are some of the basics that you can get out of the habit of, that are actually just really, really important actually. And do you have a club success plan? I think that's really critical, because then it's the committee agreeing as one in terms of what way they want to take the club that year. So it's really important. So there's no point in me going, oh, yay, I want to bring in 10 new members if, the Sergeant at Arms has decided she's not going to meet and greet anybody. Or the treasurer is like, yeah, we don't need, so we all should be vested in the same goals and the same direction. So the collective ownership. For everyone, Sergeant at Arms, we have an amazing secretary who follows up, and he writes the minutes of our meetings into kind of a blog that we then can post. So he does it in a way that is killing two stones with one. And he also then writes up on the meetings as well, and then they're immediately, sorry, he doesn't post the minutes of our committee meetings, because obviously that doesn't get posted, but the actual meetings, he posts those as blogs. So again, he's hitting two stones, and he's using the right language as well. And then I can use some of the meeting notes in my follow-up to the nurturing plan for the guests who were there that evening, reminding them, hey, do you remember this part? This was, this was really good. This worked really well. The VPR then on attraction and channels and content and Google keywords. So the VPR and the VPM, which I've missed out, is really important. Working together to make sure that as he attracts or she attracts, then the VPM is closing them down. The treasurer on forecasting and cash flow, what do you actually need to run the club? If you want to give trophies or you want to give prizes for, any of the competitions that happen, how much do you need for that? And then the president, obviously, that's a critical role in bringing us all and it together. So I would also say to encourage all members to be club ambassadors. At our first meeting back, I'm hoping that I will get to talk to our members to explain to them the role of the VPM, but also encourage them to be club ambassadors and to, when new guests walk in the room, to take that ownership and responsibility themselves. So getting started, for any of you who've been following the European athletics, this is our 400 relay team. And they, again, each individual massively talented athletes themselves, but together they are some power team. They're amazing. So getting started, club officer training program, obviously support materials. So I assume everyone, I know there's some training tonight actually for the other district, but obviously have your training done, your support materials, agree your club plan, build your plan. So what is your plan? Mine is on a PowerPoint. And I'll show you one of the slides now in a sec, and all the tools that you need to execute it. Be ready now. Don't wait for September. You know, because you have time now, but once you get into the season, you'll be like swept away with the season. Meet and review as a committee, have your clear action plans and deliver, divide and conquer, celebrate your wins, really important. If we get one new member back, I'm celebrating. I don't think we can afford champagne yet, but that would be a lovely day. But I'll be celebrating, and I think everyone should. So every club needs a solid methodical plan for growth. Again, don't be overwhelmed. Really just try and keep it simple. Do the little things, tangible measurements that are executed correctly, and celebrating your wins. So this is an example of my VPN plan, which some of you may have seen. So in July, the brand letter, the welcome guest letter, guest form capture done, membership pack, induction training, that's nearly done. Follow-up and nurturing plan, that's actually I've completed the follow-up with a lot of the old members and new members. September, then membership engagement tracking, guest tracking, and so on. So you can see exactly what I've said to the committee I'm going to deliver by month, but it's broken down, so I don't feel overwhelmed at any particular point. I know exactly what I have to do. It's very doable. I just set aside a couple of hours of an evening, and yeah, and then obviously with every good plan, you need to review. You need to stop and review and make sure and check, is it working? Is it not working? Is there feedback on any particular elements that maybe need to be changed, and what are they? And that is it.